Good morning and happy Thursday, traders. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to have a look at our daily market insights, review yesterday's bias, see how we went with that, and also if there was any trades during New York AM session. Alrighty, let's jump over the calendar, see what we've got going on there today. Now, today is the day before non-farm payroll. Generally, a day that you probably want to avoid trading the market. I will still be watching and seeing if we get a setup. Maybe something could play out, but the probabilities are just that little bit lower. Generally, there's consolidation before such a large news event. So we'll see how things play out there. But just keep that in mind that you might want to trade with extreme caution today, if at all, but completely up to the individual. Alrighty, let's jump over to NQ. I keep doing that. Now, I'm pretty sure if we went back to yesterday's video, we would see that I had this as my target. I had a bullish bias yesterday, and from the outset, it was looking like that could have been wrong. Price sold off, but you know what we're doing? We're getting this low resistance liquidity right through here. That price gobbled up all that low resistance liquidity into this daily gap here, which remained respected. Also respected the opposing candle through here, which aligned with that gap. So that was a nice level to see price bounce from. And we had a beautiful bullish move. And if we drop down to the 5-minute and we just roll back a little bit, we'll see that move right here. There's your reversal right here. We've got a 5-minute bullish unicorn. Got a little FVG in there. Tiny, but it's there. Now, you would have had to have got into this trade on the close through. Okay, you would have had to front run it. You couldn't have waited for the FVG to be confirmed to get into this position. There's another opportunity up here. We could have taken a continuation trade as well. So the market provided through the late morning through to the PM session was certainly a good session to be involved in. Now, if you drop down to the 3-minute, you'll find that that was probably in even better. Doesn't look as clean to me. However, you could have got in if you looked at this as the change in state of delivery rather than where it is on the 5-minute. You know, you might have been able to get in on this candle closure here. So there was opportunity to get into this trade. You really wouldn't have been able to limit order into this. It was a market order only position. Even if you drop to the 2-minute, there's a lovely 2-minute IFVG here. That was well respected. You could have entered in on the retest or just got in on the close of the candle, let that little bit of consolidation tease you, and then you weren't looking back. Now, I didn't take that position. For me, where is it? Here it is. For me, I want to see a closure through the change in state of delivery on both NQ and ES before I'll get into a position. At this point in time, ES had not confirmed. So it wouldn't have been up till this high here or the candle closure here that I could have got in. And for me, that just increases my risk too much. So if we look at, if I had have been able to get in here on the candle closure, my stop would have been here, targeting 2R. All right, that would have been a beautiful little trade. However, my risk would have been up here because of my entry conditions. And I just wasn't willing to have such a large breaker, such a large stop rather. Even if you brought it to the underside of the breaker, this would be the 5-minute breaker. It's just too wide for my liking. This would be a much better. And that in this instance, you know, if you just went with a stop at the bottom of the breaker, you would have had, you know, even if you played it up to the 8:30 open, that's a beautiful 3-hour trade there. 230 points in hour and 30 minutes. Not a bad day's work. Anyway, it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. Just wanted to showcase that, give you some insight to what we can look for in the market. And now we're looking at price reaching for the high that we've pointed out here on the daily, that we actually pointed out yesterday. And it looks like we're going to reach for that high. So nice closure above these opposing candles here on the hourly. We're really not looking back at the moment. That's going to be the draw. And then once we reach this level, looking to see a reaction here, or move through, test, continue to move higher. If we run our standard deviations off this little manipulation leg here, and because the wicks are quite large, I'm just going to use the bodies, and you can see that -2 to 2.5 is aligned with that high. And if we get a closure through that -2.5, then we're looking to that -4 as our target. So remaining bullish for NQ. We'll jump over to ES now. ES is going to be a similar story. However, ES is lagging behind a little bit here. NQ is already nearly at this high. All right, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. You know, what that could mean, either ES takes this high and NQ pushes right through it, or NQ reaches this high and ES doesn't, and then we start to reverse. So just keep an eye on that. I'll have a look at the hourly here as well. If you wanted to, you could use this manipulation leg here. We'll see that target area up here for ES. If we just roll back to NQ for a second and do a similar thing, because that is the manipulation leg here. I was just using this little fractal move up high. You know, we can see this would be our target area. And if we move out to the daily, it aligns with this high. So another reasonable target there. If we crush this one and push through, then, you know, we do have a small gap here to get through as well. But, you know, it's not unreasonable to potentially see this as our target for today. This being yesterday's low. All right. And if we look back at the daily, we did have a lovely closure through previous day. So staying bullish for NQ, as we already mentioned, and the same with ES. So that's going to be our target area off this manipulation leg. Yeah, it's just, I would suggest that we could see price come a bit lower during the session before continuing to move higher. Now, will we get to this high today on ES? We'll just have to wait and see. Alrighty, let's jump over to CO. So we did well on bias for NQ and ES yesterday. We nailed that, although it was looking to be hairy to start with. CL, bearish bias yesterday. Great to see that our bias is playing out here. Now, this is the draw on liquidity. This is where my point of interest is. This is where my eyes are drawn, as you can see. What I want to look at is this wick, okay? This will be the area that I'd imagine price will likely react to a little bit, potentially consolidate here, right? I want to look to see how we move at that 0.5 level. And we do have, at that 0.5 level, we've got this order block, okay? I might even just mark that out. The high of that block. See, we're at that right now. So we'll see how these levels play out. Let's drop down to the 5 minute. I'll just show you a little trade that I marked up. We had a sweep. We didn't go into a high time frame point of interest. But we were displacing lower, okay? And we just had a beautiful move, sweep, displacement. There was no tag in, but price just melted away. That's a trade I would still look to take as a continuation trade. I was interested in this. We just didn't get a tag in. What did RB do at the same time? So RB, we didn't close through the change in state of delivery here. So we would have missed it anyway, because that's where I would have wanted to get that confirmation on both assets. Wouldn't have been till the next candle and we would have missed a market entry. And then there was no opportunity for a limit to come back in here. We're going to stay bearish for CL. There's nothing on the hourly to suggest that we're going to turn around just yet either. What do we look for? We're at a point of interest, or this point of interest, a reversal. You know, it can be a fairly swing, but generally speaking, I would prefer to see this type of move. And then this is our real point of interest down here. Let's move over to Euro. Again, did great with the bias here yesterday. Another bearish move down to this low. We swept out that low and have a look what we're doing now. We're getting some nice movement higher. You can see we've played out to that -4. We've dropped down to the hourly time frame here. We've played out to that -4. We do have a bullish breaker here on the hourly. We have a change in state of delivery with displacement. My invalidation for that is this, the bodies of the leg that swept liquidity, the 50% level of that. Okay, if we invalidate here, then we're going to continue lower. We do have equal lows down here. If that's going to be a draw today or for another time, we'll be waiting to see. At the moment, though, we are getting a move, a reversal off a point of interest at the -4 standard deviation. And if we run our high, our fibs out, we can look for a target up here. Let's go with a bullish bias today. We'll see how we go. We can always pivot, but that's what we're looking for. This will be an area to watch. So if we jump over to Dixie now, if Dixie's doing a similar thing, let's have a look at the daily. When I say similar, I mean inversely. We are moving off the high here. We have to put in equal high. We're getting a reaction lower. It's not as clean on Dixie. Euro definitely looked a little bit cleaner, but we are reacting off the high here. We don't have that change in state of delivery just yet, like we do on Euro. We're going to need to see a price displace through this level. These opposing candles here, we need to see that displace through. And if we can do that, we do have all this low resistance liquidity here. I'd almost rather see price have one more crack at the high here and then start to move lower, looking at this as the change in state of delivery. Or the breaker rather, that would be the breaker. And the change in state of delivery off the low here is what I mean. So I would prefer to see price have another sweep here and then look to move lower, but we'll see what happens. Just because they're inversely correlated doesn't mean I can, I need to have a different bias. I'll have the bias that the chart is showing me. At the moment, I'm a little bit undecided on what price wants to do here right now. So I've just decided to run with a neutral bias. That's my color for neutral. All right. Let's have a look at gold now on the daily. Again, we got the bias right yesterday. We had a bearish bias. We have been looking, if we go back earlier in the week, this has been the level we've been looking for price to reach for. We've smashed through that, haven't we? Absolutely. Now we're looking for this level here into this bullish gap. Okay. If we go to the weekly, we have a weekly gap here as well. So that's what I'm looking to see price reach into. That being our drawn liquidity. So I'm going to keep a bearish bias for the time being. We're moving lower. We're still respecting bearish PD arrays. Okay, we've respected this bearish FEG here. Yes, we closed through it, but we immediately rebalanced it and we displaced lower here. And this is our target. It's not that far away. Once we've reached this, if we do reach this, then we look to reassess. We'll watch to see what price gives us. Does it give us this? Does it give us this? Okay. And if that's into a gap, even better. Take that lower. Okay. Jumping over to GBP on the daily. We've got that move lower yesterday as well that we're looking for. You can see we're having quite a reaction here. Unlike Euro is reacting off this low. If we look at the Wednesday the 23rd, and I'll just check that. Wednesday the 23rd, yep. So Euro is reacting off that low. GU is, so we basically have an SMT here at the moment. So if we're getting a reversal pattern here on the hourly, which it does look like we are, here's our change in state of delivery. We have displacement through here. We've got gaps through here. Looks like we've got a breakaway. And then we've got an FEG here. As long as we respect and keep this level respected, we have low resistance liquidity on the other side of price. If we run our fib out, nice target region up here. That'll clean out all of these highs here as well. So we'll flip to a bullish bias for today. As long as this level holds, this level has to hold. I was going to also mention just on NQ as well. If you look at the ADR, we've only moved 25% of the average daily range. Now, I have adjusted to a 21-day look back period at the moment. You can see here, because of the current volatility. Okay, with the current volatility and the VIX being so high at the moment, I've decided to just shift to a more I guess a tighter timeline based on the previous 3 weeks, because the volatility has been so high since this whole tariff stuff kicked in. Basically, trying to give a more accurate reading because of that. Alrighty, let's jump over to Bitcoin on the daily. Are we going to take this high today? Well, I think we will. I think we will. If we take this high, we get that closure that we've been looking for. Even just a nice closure above this gap and this high, I'd be happy with that. And then we can look to see price move higher. Lovely expansion candle today. Let's have a look at the hourly quickly. So if we were to use this leg as our manipulation leg, we're targeting upwards of 100K Bitcoin. Possibly even by the end of the week or Sunday, with the market being 24/7. Let's keep that on the chart. Let's see how price plays out for us, eh? Alrighty. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. I greatly appreciate you all. I will be streaming today in Trade Foundry. We'll take a trade. I'm not too sure. Day before very high impact news, non-farm payroll. Generally a day to be very, very cautious. So I'll be there. We can do some tape reading. If you're watching and you're going to be on the stream, let me know in the comments if you want to have a look at some concepts or something like that, rather than watching the charts today. We can look at some other stuff, but just let me know what you think in the comments. Take care, guys. Bye for now.